So this is a data sorter. And what I did is I presented this, and I'll go through what we had teachers do. But the first thing is you want the teachers, everyone, to look at the summative check or your formative check. So what I did is I listed all the questions in one of the cells so everyone could see it. The standards would be listed here. I did take them out here because I didn't necessarily want the CT's name on here, so you could list the standards. This next part is very telling, at least it was for me. You would list the teacher's name here, and then it would list the number of students and the percent. So if you look, it says number of students missing each question, the percent of seventh graders missed, and this is the number of students who had taken the assessment. When I first looked at a data dialogue, and I happen to teach more of one section of math than other teachers, I looked at my numbers and I was a little surprised. And then I realized I needed to look at the percent. So if you look, this is a great way for everyone to look at things as percentages. And as you go down, you can say, well, oh, this one here, this is a very high. Most of them missed this one. So you can go back and look at the question and determine why, perhaps why, and then you can also look at the standard to see. So this helps everyone in a visual determine which questions and reflect as a whole group to see. Then I had each teacher, you would write the teacher name here, and I had them kind of what stood out to them, and jot down a strength and an area of growth. And so each teacher wrote down some comments. This kind of helps keep the reflection in the forefront of your mind for the data. So proficiency with assessed standards, you can get this information if you've given an e-cart, but what was effective is for everybody to see where everybody else was, and as a whole group of math students. So then we had a CT discussion, and then we had to decide what's our next steps according to the data. Are there any standards we need to reteach, either as a small group or whole class? Were there any standards we needed to review, we needed to extend, and how will we reassess? So based on the conversation that the collaborative team had, we came up with different strategies to do, some on the review side, some on the reteach side, and some on when could we reassess to see if students had learned this skill. And our next steps, we would list them out as a video lesson, and a general discussion that came up was maybe in our next unit, we add a day for concepts that were not mastered in the previous years. So that's one example of how a data dialogue was used. The team had already selected the e-cart and which questions they would use. After the assessment was given, I looked at the data and through the e-cart, and I placed it into this form, and I generated the spreadsheet for the team so they could look at the information.